Welcome back to the Gfinity Arena, where it's week 5 of the Elite Series. Time for our first match. Gentlemen, I need to take your final predictions of this matchup. Matchup 1, where you've got Endpoint versus Prophecy. What are you saying? On set, on the spot. Here he is.
Here I am on the spot.
And I want a reason with it as well, please.
Okay.
No joke on the team that we're playing later.
You're trying your best.
I'm trying my best at the moment.
I'm going to go with Endpoint this week. It's kind of like the popular pick because they're on the rise. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think this is going to be probably the closest game of the day as well. But I'm going to go with Endpoint. I mean, you said they've got better week on week and they seemed really strong this week. So I'm going with Endpoint.
I said week 1, watch out for Endpoint as the weeks go forward because they're just going to improve. They have so much fun together. They're practicing all the time. They live together. I'm obviously going to go Endpoint. And actually, a little anecdote, Mummy Snow played against this Endpoint team in the middle of the week and got 3-0'd by Endpoint. And his reason for it was that they have no structure. And he says he doesn't know how to read Endpoint because they're just so chaotic.
The anti-structure wins again. I love it. Well, listen, thank you very much for your predictions. We'll see if they come correct. What I'm going to do right now is throw it over to Johnny Boy and Shogun, who basically are both yin-yang today. Where is the yang in the colour coordination today, gentlemen?
He has corrupted me at this point. We have now become the despair of Rocket League.
You look like you're going to be quite menacing and tough and authoritative.
Really?
Is there going to be a bit of sense of humour? You look very dark over on that side.
Menacing and tough for us is definitely new. That's never happened before.
Gentlemen, I'm so excited about this matchup. What are your predictions for it?
I think Onset's probably right, closest match of the day. And like I said backstage, if you'd asked me this last week, I would have said Prophecy, but I'm going to have to go for Endpoint after how last week went.
And go on, Shogun, the man with the prediction streak.
Yeah, it's completely died, though, after the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm going to go Endpoint as well. Definitely going to be the closest match that we've had so far, but overall 4-0 for Endpoint. Whether they can take that through and get themselves the win today, though, going to be very important. Both these teams currently on 2 games to 2, wins and losses. This is a big one as we start to enter the second half of this season.
Yeah, Prophecy were talking to me last week after their loss, and they thought that if they had beaten Infused, that they were in. That was going to be easy street from then on. But they've made it pretty hard for themselves. Not just the fact that they lost. I mean, it's not embarrassing to lose to Infused. They're 4-0. They're the league leaders. But it's just the manner in which they lost. It was just a collapse.
Yeah, it certainly was, and it kind of made you start questioning yourself in your own heads. And I was speaking to Flaky afterwards, and it's something they said, look, every time we get into that position, we're going to remember that.
Yeah.
It's hard. You're going to need a couple of weeks to get away from it. Unfortunately, this is the first week that they're going to have to try and bounce back from that big collapse. If you did not see it last week, I urge you, I beg of you, go back and watch it.
Great ending.
I've never seen something like that in Rocket League before.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff. I think we are just about ready to get into the game. And probably the closest match of the day, so we will be watching with intent. Can Prophecy rebound after their Week 4 collapse? This is a match that they will absolutely think themselves the favorites to win.
Certainly will do, but predictions and results, very different things. So we're going to now see who can take the early advantage. Expect both these teams to not necessarily have those early jitters that we normally see. Both teams are now getting much more use, as those are 2 lovely demo plays. The sniper can take control of the ball, as I was originally saying. Both these teams getting used to the LAN environment. Both teams know where they stand. A win is necessary, no time to feel out.
Yeah, we have 4 games remaining after this one, so they'll be past the halfway point. Or rather, no, sorry.
2 games remaining.
2 games remaining. Keep me right, Shogun. They're just past the halfway point.
Try Castamat on stage. I told you, never.
If they can make the semi-finals, which is top 4, then this will be the halfway point for them.
Wow, lovely use of that midfield area. Snipers follow up.
Oh, close.
Just couldn't get the right angle on it. Should have been a very good opportunity for Prophecy to take the lead, but they've done a very good job of half rotating, challenging the ball whenever they can. So far, Endpoint looking shaky.
Not much boost on any of the Endpoint boys right now.
There's a map that we haven't seen throughout the season. It's going to be Aquadome. I do certainly like the look of this one, but Prophecy will be liking the look of their rotations so far, as they have now kept Endpoint stuck in their half for so long, and they have no look like they will retreat. But Jackaron might have an opportunity. No, beat to it yet again. Those 2 middle boosts 100% belong to Prophecy.
This is where Endpoint were for much of the game against their Week 4 opponent. Oh, that's so close. Cheerio denied by the inside of the joint. they're so dangerous at converting these messy plays into goals. And this is something that Mummy Snow said about Endpoint, is that it's super difficult to play against them because they're so unconventional in their playstyle. But hey, it seems to be working for them to some degree. Certainly very well, getting not just a win, but a sweep, 3-0 in week 4 against an opponent which was considered by most of us to be favorites against them.
Certainly was, but Prophecy need to stop those double commits. There's been multiple times now, especially when the pace starts to be picked up, that the call is not coming in, and the rotation clearly is not clean enough for them to know exactly who is supposed to be going for it. That is a potential for them to be caught. Flaky almost got there in time. But Endpoint, to their credit, doing a very good job of, when they are challenging, getting themselves between the ball and the goal.
That was really tricky. Cheerio trying to come from Sniper's blind spot, but Sniper did see him coming. I was wondering if Cheerio was going to make a double boost steal. Here comes the shot from the goal scorer for Endpoint, and he's done it again. Back on the score sheet, Sniper had no chance.
Completely against the run of play, but it does not matter when you can pass it off to yourself just like that, completely out of the way from any defender that could come on for the challenge, and that finish. Crossbar down, the best place to aim. And Endpoint pick themselves up the lead with less than 2 minutes remaining.
Yeah, it's really great stuff from Cheerio, and the assist from Chakaron as well. Infield pass, something that Prophecy are going to need to watch out for. Because Endpoint, they do love to follow each other up and attack extremely closely. Look for Cheerio to be backing up Tinny and Chakaron right behind them when they're centering the ball. He doesn't like to go from the... Oh, wait a minute, that's nearly a dunk from Mummy Snow. A bit fortunate, but Endpoint escape what would have been a tie game.
These cutting infield passes are being found more and more often, but the finish is just not there. Sniper will end up missing. This is more time ticking away, and that touch from Flaky
It's messy.
is effectively just to prevent any rebound pressure coming forward. As a shot,
a save.
Cheerio picks himself up the savior medal.
Surely.
Cannot do anything about that.
Mummy Snow ties it, and if Prophecy didn't get a goal from this attack, they must have, you know, that would have been the point where they just think, what is happening? How can we not score? They've had so many chances and so much pressure in the Endpoint side of the field, or the fish tank, if you will. I'm not sure what exactly.
It's a weird map choice, isn't it?
Where are we? We're under the sea, that's where we are. Ariel will be feeling right at home.
Another long clear. Sniper's going to have to try and go for the follow-up as he's got no one around, and that rolling ball should be well dealt with by Endpoint. But Cheerio tries to do it by himself. That means that they are still stuck in their own half. Double commit now actually means that there's going to be the follow-up. It's open net. Endpoint gets something for nothing, and that something is a lead.
Again, Chakaron, look at that. Solid dunk, going over the top of the defender, but Prophecy once again. We talked about it earlier, we talked about it last week. Double committing in defense. This is the sort of lack of trust that they need to look out for, because last week their trust is going to have taken a massive hit. Like, how can they trust one another after that collapse? It doesn't seem like they started off very well today. Endpoint, messy defense, but if they're able to consistently defend in a messy manner, then why not?
Prophecy will be looking towards their third player from now on, just to try and clean it up a little bit more. So they need to be a lot more worried whenever they've got floating balls up in the air. Mummy Snow cannot go for that, so Sniper has to rotate in. Final 6 seconds of this matchup. Endpoint looking to take this one in a very important game for them, as it's still not touched the floor, but Prophecy have got so much work to do. They will not be able to do it. Endpoint take our opening win.
Chakaron, 2 assists. And 1 goal for Tinny, 1 goal for Cheerio. Interesting to see Cheerio taking a lot of the defensive work. Not so much relying on Tinny this week, or in the first game, were they? As he's usually the man with most of the saves, but none needed. Endpoint 1-0. This is very bad news for Prophecy, losing to league leaders Infused in week 4. Now, down in a matchup that they thought they would be the favorites. This is where we're going to see what kind of Prophecy is going to be the Prophecy for the rest of the series, I think, because if they can't come back from this, then they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, usually games 2 and 3 are the most telling of a series, but the most important stat there, 3 shots from the side of Endpoint. 2 of those ended up in goals. There's no one back, and if there's no one back, I feel like this is the most obvious statement ever, but you've got no defense.
And the other shot wasn't... I expected it would have been Cheerios pass to himself up near post, but Tinny was actually the one with 2 shots. I don't remember when he got that, but you know, some of those shots they're good shots. They have to aim high, they have to aim slightly wide to take it away from a goalkeeper. And just the fact that, you know, some teams have a lower shooting percentage is not always a bad thing. The stats can be a little bit misleading, so we have to look at the instances where these shots happen. And we know that in this game at least, clinical stuff.
Absolutely. They took advantage of the opportunities that they had. Currently 1-0 to Endpoint. The desk is correct thus far. But what is going to be the response from Prophecy? That is going to be our biggest question going into this next one. They came out guns blazing. I don't think they can be more aggressive than they actually were during that game. So that's not the answer. Clearly isn't. Need them to communicate just that little bit more, have the rotations be more full, because they controlled everything apart from themselves.
Exactly, and as we get into the second game, look out for those double commits. Can Prophecy trust one another? We all know that they're confident in their individual skill, but question marks have arisen as the Elite Series has developed. In terms of their teamwork, especially defensively. In attack, they've looked great. They're creating chances, they're causing problems for just about every team in the league, but they're causing problems for themselves in defense, left, right, and center as well.
Require a sniper who puts that one up high. Flarky is sticking around. He's going to take a long time on the rotation back.
Oh, he's missed 2 boosts in a row now.
Middle.
That's just very bad by Flarky. He missed the boost to the back corner. He's trying to steal it from Endpoint, and then he also missed it in the midfield. That's the sort of mechanical misplay that is really, really telling. Because if somebody's making those errors, which should be automatic, then that's really, really bad news for Flarky individually, for Prophecy as a whole. So far in game 2, they've escaped disaster. You know, a couple of small mechanical misplays by Flarky is not going to lead to a goal unless Endpoint can do something aggressive and proactive of their own. But that's not really Endpoint's style. They prefer to just wear a team down, frustrate them, and wait for the chance to present itself.
Chacaron really has been a player that has stepped up throughout the weeks that we've seen previously. Wasn't a player less necessarily as well known as his teammates, but he will be at the end of this tournament. As Endpoint need to find ways of resisting the Prophecy offense, and they have done a very good job of that so far. This midfield barely ever contested, but because there is no attempts at control from Prophecy, every single time they take a shot, they are shooting it straight into an awaiting Endpoint defense. And just is not working at the moment. As Flarky could have gone for the pass there, but he was still covered, ended up missing the ball anyway.
This is very dangerous. All 3 players for Prophecy momentarily out the game and low on boost, and that's going to be a chance. This should have been a goal for Tinny, and it will be. We knew this might be problematic when all 3 players threw themselves forward, used all their boost in attack to no avail. And again, the infield pass is their downfall.
I feel like Endpoint are going for a new strategy called the Venus flytrap. Let everyone come forward, send a player forward to challenge in the midfield and win the challenge. And
Cheerio.
More often than not, Cheerio had his opportunity, but a lovely save from Sniper by literally doing nothing, made himself big enough to prevent the ball going in. But these challenges in the midfield, they only need 1, and they are getting goals for it.
Yeah, you can see Prophecy are just visibly frustrated. They're just not happy with how this game is going and how this series is developing. With Flarky missing boosts left, right, and center, and a couple of hits going astray. They're not really using that back post in offense very well. Getting quite congested, which is not really the Prophecy way. They're usually quite good at spreading themselves out in attack and approaching the enemy goal from multiple angles. But they really need to focus right now. This is probably the most important match of the entire Elite Series. If they don't win here, top 6 is going to be, or top 4, sorry, is going to be so hard to achieve, because this isn't just a match where they might lose the opportunity of 3 points. They're going to give 3 points to their rivals if they can't come back here.
Also, we'll give them the head-to-head as we head into future weeks. That is going to be a good opportunity, but once again, fast in the air, Chacaron, the master of that area right now, as Tinny attempts to take a shot, but caught it with the top of his car, so no power for him. It's Prophecy for the first time, sustaining a defense for more than 10 seconds. No, it's going to be their chance to see what they can do against an attempted siege from Endpoint, and they've done a very good job. Just doesn't seem like Endpoint wants to commit to that style of play.
You need this. You need this if you're a Prophecy fan so badly, but Cheerio says no. This is not looking good for them right now. But Endpoint are looking fantastic. The defensive rotation is on point. And I think that the mix-up of styles is causing problems for Prophecy. Chakaron, bravery, just throwing himself into every challenge. Cheerio playing a more reactive role today. Tinny has been scoring goals, which is not always the case. Usually Cheerio that scores the goals, but Tinny's getting involved. Right now he's going to play that role that we're used to seeing him play, the sweeping. Make sure that nothing gets through. Something will get through here though. Chakaron has to make a save. Tinny will get back in time though. Redeems himself for that slight misposition.
Still 1-0 as we head into the final 30 seconds. Prophecy have to do it, and I absolutely love that part of the crowd right there. Need more of that. As Cheerio is going to put that into a dangerous position. Sniper has to come out. Final 19 seconds, and it is all Endpoint. They have got all the pressure. You can see they've now put 2 players back, not wanting to overcommit.
That might be it.
It is this rotation that is winning them these games. Hits the crossbar, doesn't go in. Sniper will look to try and get this over, but Tinny with more pressure. Final 3 seconds. Tinny is going to leave it. That is going to hit the floor any second. Now hits the net instead.
Never mind the floor, Shogun. How about the back of the net for a second goal?
I believe my voice broke then. I'm not too sure.
There you go. The floor was wide open. He could have just grounded that, but he wants to pad the stats a little bit. Endpoint 2-0. Prophecy are in a world of trouble.
This is big for Prophecy, not only for this series, but for their entire season. They need to sort this out. Their only choice is now a reverse sweep. Neither of these teams have seen a Game 5 all season so far across all 8 games that they have played. So statistically, looking unlikely for them right now. But for Prophecy, they've got to be looking at this and just saying, we have to change this. But what do they change?
It's a really, really tough spot for them to be in because they're not playing too badly. It's just that they're not playing with the confidence that we saw from them in their early wins. And we have to also remember that they are on a 2-match losing streak going into this, although they lost first to Method and then to Infused, who are, arguably the 2 best teams in the league. But this is a tough one. This is a match that they definitely think they can win. They should win. And if they don't win it, then they'll need to rely on some misplays from the other teams in the league just to guarantee that top 4 spot. They have Epsilon and Reason after this, but they need to just put that thought to the back of their mind, put it on the back burner for the time being, because Endpoint are the pressing issue, proving to be much more of a challenge than any of us expected.
You can tell so much from just the player's body language. Flarky looking so much different to the tiara-wearing monster that we saw him as just a couple of weeks ago.
It's got to go in.
And they've been caught coast to coast by Cheerio, who caught that with a lovely half volley.
That's great timing by Cheerio. Good, just rips it. But once again, Prophecy, they're wanting so badly to score goals. Everybody creeping forward just a little bit too far there. And they get punished very handily by a perfectly timed half volley off the wall. Oh, Sniper barely keeps it out. Prophecy are on the ropes right now. Prophecy
need to be so careful. If they concede another one within the next 30 seconds, I honestly feel like they will crumble. Need to now withstand what they're trying to do and not make any mistakes. As you can see, Endpoint still prioritizing that defense, and once again, just hitting it straight into them. That is not going to work. I need to see more passing plays out from Prophecy. Flaky will try and do it by himself. But Cheerio back into the corner yet again. Great place to put the ball if you just want to relieve pressure from your team. But right now, Endpoint up 1-0 in a game that if they take, will be absolutely huge for them, as they will take down one of their main rivals. No, absolutely clean, Flaky! Lovely save from him. What a recovery.
Oh, that was potentially going to be the slowest goal of the Elite Series so far, but Flarky says no. We have to remember, Endpoint, if they win here, 3-2 in the standings, win-loss. And their next 2 games are against the teams who are currently sat 7th and 8th in the league. They could be looking at a 5 wins and 2 losses finish to the league, which is, I think, mathematically impossible to be worse than 4th place. So Endpoint could be just about to secure their berth into the playoffs with a win here. Can they cross the line? Amazing to see how much they've improved. And I do think a lot of that has to be credited to the fact that they're living together, working together on their mistakes and their problems, trying to improve as a team. That's the main difference between the players that we're seeing here. Individually, pretty much inseparable, but team play-wise, and the trust that the Endpoint guys have in each other is just worlds ahead of Prophecy at the moment.
You've got to remember, Endpoint are the only team this season to have been clean sweep. They didn't even score a goal. They only scored 1 goal over the course of 2 weeks at one point. And they are looking so much better right now. But Flarky offers his team hope.
It's a good finish by Flarky. Point blank range save. Flarky is up really early for that. Didn't have a lot of boost once he hit the ball. It's a great read. The ball actually curving down. Hit both the ceiling and the wall where they met, but Flarky's still able to get the finish. 1-1. Prophecy finally able to get that much needed goal. But that is not enough. They need more. Will they be able to find any more chances against an Endpoint team who are currently on triple match point? 1 goal away from putting them in a fantastic position to secure a playoff spot.
Mummy Snow just tries to get it over to the corner. Right now, Prophecy's main goal needs to be on keeping the ball away, but low boost on Sniper will make it hard. Shot from Cheerio. Positioning was correct on it, power was not, but Endpoint have got their opportunity to continue to press forward, and they will take it.
Or boost steals.
Who is going to come in? Tinny off the back. There is going to be no chance for Sniper to come in, and he is going to win the challenge. Endpoint retake the lead, and there is very little time remaining for Prophecy to make a comeback.
And that's Prophecy losing to their own game. What a dunk from Cheerio. Just denies that clear completely. But Prophecy, they've been trying to boost starve Endpoint. Endpoint sit pretty in their goal and swat away every shot that comes their way. As soon as they're put under that exact same pressure, they immediately crumble. The defensive rotation for Endpoint is just way better today than Prophecy. 1 minute and 23 seconds remain. Prophecy need a goal for this series to continue. And even after that, they'll still have a lot of work to do. Struggling at the moment to get consistent pressure and possession. That's a good shot though. Mummy Snow looking for the top corner and finds it. We're tied up once again.
Sometimes in the most desperate of situations, all you need is a real big hit.
Oh,
you catch Chacaron out entirely, cannot get there in time, as you said, with the side flip. Now 1 minute and 8. Endpoint are starting to have questions raised of them from Prophecy, who look like they might be growing into this. That rotation looking so much more solid. They haven't double committed once I've seen so far this game.
I don't think so.
This has been a much better Prophecy squad than we've seen previously. So if you're Endpoint, you got to be saying to yourself, we want this done right now because this team is growing.
Oh, this is dangerous. Goalkeeper's out the game, crossbar down.
An
own goal. Flarky.
Not again, please.
That would have been almost worse than last week. No pressure, and Flarky with the panic puts it off the inside of his own post. But still, we're all tied up in game 3. Final 30 seconds. Double whip, triple whip. Fourth player hits it, but the slowest shot of the Century Award does go to Prophecy. This is the most tense ending to a series that we've, or the potential ending to a series. Don't let me get ahead of myself. Only game 3 here. Oh, it might be the end. Oh my goodness, Prophecy are so close to losing, but they hang on. Can they win in regulation time? The ball's still up. Shot goes way wide. Still might have one more chance, but no, there we go. Overtime it is. In a ridiculous ending. What is it with Prophecy and crazy endings to games?
I don't think they know how regular games work. Their normal is insane. And that is what has led them to this point in a game that they now must win to continue this series. Overtime now. As Endpoint looking a lot more aggressive. They have now come out of their defensive hole, which if you're Prophecy, you have to actually be very happy about. It means you've only got 1 player to defeat now. But Sniper, have you got any, do anything? 2 players come off the shot. Too much communication in that end. Mummy Snow can try and go for a bump on Cheerio, but instead he looks for the pass. The demo does come through. This is now end-to-end gameplay, but neither team able to find a way through.
Yeah, first we had the double commit by Endpoint. I think Chakaron actually pulled out of an aerial, which he might have scored because he thought his teammate had a better shot. And I do like that Sniper was willing to look for the pass there in attack. Cheerio did well, though, in the 1 versus 2. Came away comfortably, not just saving the ball, but clearing it with ease. 1 minute into overtime. Endpoint still 1 goal away from one of the biggest wins that they will have all season against extremely tough individual talent who have been struggling to gel even this far into the series. They still have not found the synergy to compete with the likes of Endpoint. We've calmed down now, Joing. It's not quite as crazy, but it might be about to. Downward redirect by Chakaron. The ball's up. Tiddy has made a statement. All the other teams in the Elite Series are going to have to pay attention to Endpoint now, if they weren't already. They are here to play. This 6-game winning streak continues.
Ladies and gentlemen, Endpoint have finally turned up to the Gfinity Elite Series, and they are looking so, so good. But on the other half, Prophecy, now down 0-6. It is a tale of two halves, and definitely two teams that are going in opposite directions right now. But let's focus on the positives. Endpoint, that defensive display was phenomenal. Really was. They've gone from a team that was struggling so much, not only 3 weeks ago, where they barely even scored a goal, and then they didn't score any goals during 1 week, to this week having their best display of the season.
It's just an incredible turnaround. I don't know how they've done it, but credit to them. It's a completely different team, and that goal by Cheerio was so clean. Just perfect connection off the post. Or off the wall, rather. Flarkey with a great recovery, landing on his wheels in the back of the goal there. It was necessary to get the save, and then he did get the equalizer as well. But even though Prophecy were able to put 2 past a solid Endpoint defense, it wasn't enough.
And it was the same thing over and over again. Those challenges, every single time, a player from Endpoint just positioning their car higher than their opponents, and they were winning it out every single time. And then we saw the one and only attempt that Prophecy had at a siege. They did it perfectly. They took every single boost away.
Yeah.
And it eventually left Sniper just watching the ball as his opponents just looked at him and said, go on, fly.
Yeah. And both these teams do still have to play Reason, which they'll both expect to pick up wins. But now Prophecy are relying on other results to go in their favor, I believe. Even if they win both their games, they're not guaranteed a spot just because of how close the middle of the standings are. But Endpoint, they're set up for success. They still have to play Excel and Reason. Reason, who have yet to win a game. Excel, who have only beaten Reason. So Endpoint might be looking at a 5-2 finish. And what I would say, probably the most surprising result of the series. They're definitely a team that showed up the most unexpectedly.
Yep, certainly could be the case. And I believe that they have actually got the head-to-head against Method as
They
well,
do.
who's the other team that could be ending on a 5-2 if they want to be like that. But it does look like our analysts were correct. Endpoint do take the win. Tom, I'm sure they're ever so happy about that fact.
I'm sure they're very happy. And do you know what, Shogun? You should be very happy as well, and so should Johnny Boy, because you both predicted an Endpoint win. I don't know why I'm doing that. Who does that? I do now. Listen, on set, Gregan, it happened. The Endpoint victory. Heads are buried at the moment for Prophecy, but let's come to them in a second. Let's focus on how good Endpoint were. They were brilliant today.
It was beautiful scrappiness, wasn't it? Everything they did was kind of unorthodox. But it works because they've got such good synergy. We keep talking about the fact they live together now. They play for each other. They love playing with each other. And they do things that are just unexpected. And that's how they get a lot of their goals. But what they do well is they defend consistently. They always rotate back, and they're always making sure they got plenty of boost at the back. And it just was too much for Prophecy.
Yeah, who stood out for you today in Endpoint?
I'm going to go with Cheerio again. You know, he scored vital goals at vital times in that series. He also made a big play when there was a 2v1 situation when we thought it was more difficult to miss than score. And he made a fantastic interception, managed to get the ball upfield. So not just on the offensive, but defensively, he looked pretty solid today.
OK, so and obviously that rotation of the team, getting it right. You said Mummy Snow was finding it difficult because they don't follow a normal structure, do they?
No, they often hit the ball in odd directions, don't go for things they probably should. But that works in their favour because it means that teams like Prophecy, who don't necessarily pass as instinct, they look to try and attack the net very aggressively, they just get the ball back. And then once they've got the ball, they just find ways through, unorthodox, and Mummy Snow just doesn't know how to deal with it. It's something that he's not come across as much at the level he plays at.
Okay, I mean, obviously, with Endpoint, they got that 3-0 win against Epsilon last week. That was coming off the back of 2 losses. Now 2 wins in a row, pushing up the table. They're looking nice and pretty with 9 points now.
They are, and I think we mentioned backstage, you can almost see on the stage a bit of a change in body language with the guys. You know, they were laughing and joking in the first few weeks, you know, having a good time, but you saw the first goal going today, and there was no real emotion, no reaction. It was kind of just dealing with the job in hand, making sure they got the win. And I think they're starting to really grow as a team, and they're starting to realise how important these wins are.
And without being too harsh on Reason, they're playing them next week, so hopefully they'll be hoping for another 3 points. So this is a great little run for them. If you're new to the team Endpoint, you may not know that they live together up in the mighty still place of Sheffield, and this man does the dishes. We found that out. I can welcome him down to the panel with us. His name is Cheerio! Careful, don't you fall on those stairs, buddy, don't you fall. Come and join us. You were taking your time on those stairs, but I tell you what, you were fast as anything in the Rocket League match today. Are you happy with your performance?
Yeah, I think we played well. Just, I'm still nervous on the stage.
Yeah.
But I hope it will pass at some point.
Yeah, okay. When you're up there playing, is that what you mean? The nerves up there, is it this menacing crowd? They look nice. They've got smiles on their faces, people wherever they are across the world.
Yeah, I can just hear them scream like, prophecy, prophecy, prophecy.
Oh, really? You could hear them. That was only me. No, listen, Cheerio. Talking about your performance today, what were the good points? What were the negative points that you'll work on?
Well, it's a lot of whiffing, I feel, but that's something we have to work on. The defense was kind of good. We could still do better though, and yeah, we did let in a goal in the first game. And I don't remember the last scoreline.
Yeah. And looking at your stats, 3 goals, which is not bad at all. Well done on that hat trick.
Could have done
that. 10 saves. What is it about you and saving? Is that your role in the team to just make sure nothing goes in that goal?
I'm just scared to be scored on, to be fair.
Okay.
Like just super scared all the time.
Yeah. I've got, just to anyone who's new to Rocket League and welcome along, what is whiffing? I've got to just say that.
Whiffing is where you go for the ball with the intention of hitting it and then miss it. And it's one of those ones which really throws the team off because you react based off of every touch. So you might start heading upfield when your teammate's going for it. If they whiff it, then you have to turn around and go back, but your opposition is normally more prepared for that. So whiffing is like a really detrimental thing, and it often spirals out of control in a team, and one whiff leads to another whiff. And then
all this whiffing, one whiff leads to another whiff. Beautiful. There were some fantastic goals there, which you scored, Cheerio. We can look at some of the play now. Maybe talk about, you played it into yourself. You said it was selfish or just greedy?
Yeah, mostly selfish. Like, I don't want to let Chakron touch the ball at all, if possible. I did pass Tinny that one time, but it's Tinny, not Chakron, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's something I want to ask about. So you and Tinny have played together for a long time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that is an advantage you have over a lot of other teams here about your synergy?
I'd say so. Me and Tinny know each other very well. I know all his strengths, all his flaws, and he knows all mine, so we match each other pretty well.
Yeah, because I was saying earlier on how I got to play with you the other day, and I just sat at the back and watched you two passing back and forth. Now you've got Chakaron in there. Yeah. What is Chakaron's role in your team, do you feel?
Well, he's mostly the defensive guy. He stays behind and he's like the anchor for our team, while me and Tinny just go on offense mostly.
Yeah, I'd love to see Chakaron's stats of how many saves he's allowed to make, because I feel like Cheerio and Tinny like to have that thunder as well, you know, to steal it out of the play. What did you notice from the gameplay in that match on set?
I wanted to talk to you about how your sort of attitude has developed through the weeks, really. It seemed like, as I said, the first few weeks you were enjoying being on stage, but now it seems like you're getting more and more serious. Are you starting to feel the pressure as you're getting towards these playoffs and the semi-finals?
Yeah, like every week, like I get more nervous. I don't know why, but we're still playing well, 3-0ing Epsilon and Prophecy now, and hopefully we can 3-0 Reason and XL the next 2 weeks as well.
And are you feeling more comfortable as a team as the week goes on as well? I know obviously you feel a little bit more nervous, but are you starting to feel like your roles are starting to develop and you're feeling more comfortable?
Yeah, as a team, I feel pretty confident that we're going to do well. We've been doing well in online tournaments as well and stuff. So yeah, it's only good things in the future, I think.
Perfect. Well, listen, so lovely to have you come down with us, cheerio, and I hope that it continues the winning mentality. I'll tell you what, Ariel is with Mummy Snow right now. What does he have to say for himself?
Mummy Snow, I kind of want to say the body language says it all. It just airing of disappointment.
Yeah, well, we didn't deserve the win, so they got it with the win. We just deserved.
You say you didn't deserve the win?
No, we didn't deserve the win.
Why?
We played. Something just fell off. I don't know if it was communication or if it was rotation, but we didn't feel confident in the way we played. We usually like to have a lot of pressure in the offense, but we didn't have that. And everyone just rotated back to get the boost, like the corner boost. And that let them do their thing in the defense.
But you guys did come back. You got a few goals in there, and it literally came down to that overtime. If you just got that one goal in, you could have made it a 5-match game, but it just didn't happen, did it?
No, they have some good saves. But there were some whiffs. Like the last goal, I think, Chakron whiffs on the corner, and that threw us off. They do that quite a lot. Yeah. And then Tinny, or was it Cheerio that had it? Put it in the goal.
Cheerio, I think, saved 12 goals today from you guys. So you were putting the pressure on. You were trying to get those goals in, but it just didn't quite happen, did it?
No, we needed the third man.
Yeah. But you've got Epsilon next week, right? You need to win that to stay in the top 4, don't you? Or to secure that top 4 position.
I think so, but it's going to be harder now.
Okay.
Than,
Well, thanks for speaking to us. We've been asking you guys today on Twitter to get in touch. A few of you have already got in touch today. The first one I can read out is, I feel like the Gfinity Elite Series team format has made it much more fun to watch tournaments, as I can root for individuals. Also, shout out to Karma, who's one of the top female Rocket League players, who says, I get to see Doomsday on TV. Excellent news. And then lastly, watch the crowd in Gfinity Rocket League on Sunday, because it's going to get crazy. Crowd, are we going to get crazy? No, they're not. They're all asleep. Thanks very much, crowd. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for not reading out any tweets about me, Ariel. I really appreciate that. Listen, I'll tell you what, coming up after the break, last week's Goal Machines Method and their star scorer, Magnus, take on struggling XL Esports.